Hello, everybody. It's great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, President, Founder of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which is sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion. And also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. We believe at GSD that intellectual capacity is evenly spread, but opportunities are not. So today on GST Presents Topical Go Startup, it is where I bring together the founders, visionaries, and innovators who are truly shaping the future of industries across the globe. And I said, I'm your host, Gary Fowler, and today I'm going to be diving into a topic that sits at the intersection of technology, geopolitics, and global competitiveness: Western drone sovereignty. Competing with global hardware giants, drones are no longer just tools. They're infrastructure. They're redefining agriculture, defense, logistic, and industrial operations. But here's the question: who builds them matters. As some global supply chains shift and nations rethink dependence on foreign hardware, the race for drone sovereignty is heating up. Today, I'm joined by someone who is right at the center of that movement. Károly Ludvigh is the CEO and founder of ABZ Innovation, a European company building heavy-duty agricultural and industrial drones from the ground up. What began as a mission to bring drone-based crop spraying to farmers quickly turned into something much bigger, because the technology simply didn't exist at the level they needed. Now ABC operates in over 30 countries and recently won the Fruit Logistica Innovation Award 2026 for their L50, Europe's first 50-liter LiDAR-based agricultural drone. Károly brings a rare combination of deep technical insight and ability to explain complex systems in a way that actually makes sense, something I personally appreciate. And with that, I'd like to bring him on the show. Hi, Károly. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Let's start at the beginning. What problem were you originally trying to solve when you entered the drone space?
Well, originally we wanted to offer a one-stop shop solution for Hungarian farmers when it comes to drone-based precision agriculture. Back then, all we wanted to do is, service them, help them, advise them, and offer the equipment they need in order to start using drones in their farming. But after 2 years of struggling with US-made, French-made, and of course Chinese-made drones, we realized that there was just no good solution at all. So originally that was the plan. And after realizing that there is just no good solution for farmers, we can, offer them with a conscious, we realized that it's time for us to make a drone that is good. Obviously, it was kind of a naive idea, but it worked out anyway.
Was there a specific moment where you realized we have to build this ourselves?
Yeah, actually there was. I was sitting in our office basement. That day I had to run for a lot of new tools, which we didn't have, because why would we? We ordered a brand new drone from a manufacturer. We planned to, hand it over to our customers. And I was sitting there at night trying to basically repair the drone that was coming right from the factory, non-functioning. So I had to somehow come up with a solution. It was not the first time. It was, I think, like a fourth or fifth time that I had to do that. Brand new drone, needing a repair just to fly. And then it hit me, it's not going to work like this anymore, because it's not good for anybody. We need to do this the right way.
How did your background in tech journalism shape the way you approach building a company and communicating your vision?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's hard to tell, because it was two very different phases of my life. But when I was working as a tech journalist way back then, I had to, understand stuff which I didn't understand before. And I think that helped me a lot building this company, because obviously when we started this, I had no idea how to do this. I knew how to build drones on a basic level, but that way of thinking about problems and trying to learn and trying to understand what the problem is, that helped a lot, because when you're building a drone company, problems are all you have.
What were the hardest early challenges? Technical, regulatory, or capital?
Again, a very good question. Regulatory. I mean, technology is kind of straightforward. You need to think, you need to test, you need to reiterate, you need to implement, but there are no obstacles that you cannot solve, or if there's any, you need to work harder. But with the regulatory environment, you cannot do anything. All you can do is, try to convince decision makers that drones are the future. But other than that, you don't have anything you can do about that, and that's really, really frustrating. The good news is that we were absolutely sure, even way back then, when it was simply illegal to fly a spraying drone, that it will become a regulated use case. So the regulatory bodies will at some point realize that this is the future. So we were betting on that a lot, and it turned out to be a good bet, because now it's significantly easier, even in Europe, which is still not the best regulatory environment, but in the US it's quite easy to fly our drones. So that was by far the most difficult point. And also capital. I mean, if the product is good, if the vision is good, if the market is there, capital is usually not a really big issue. Obviously, you need to work on that, but we have been quite successful on that regard so far.
The L50 is a major milestone. What does a 50-liter LiDAR-based agricultural drone enable that wasn't possible before?
First of all, when you have a spraying drone, any kind of spraying drone, you're solving a lot of problems which was just not possible before. The drone can be deployed anytime, even after rain, when heavy machinery would stuck in the mud. On top of that, if you play your cards well and you max out the potential of physics and technology, you can make a drone that can save you 90% on water consumption, 50% on chemicals, and on top of that, the operating costs are just on another level, significantly cheaper than any traditional equipment. And within this category of good quality spraying drones, the ABZ Innovation L50 was new on the market, because basically it was the only drone that is truly competing in price and technology with the big Chinese names. And on top of that, it's the first drone adapting cylindrical cell-based battery technology, which translates to the customer level in a very convenient form. And what I mean by that is the fact that the L50 can stay in the air 35-40% longer than any other spraying drone on the market right now, within its size category or even above it. So if you're a farmer, with the L50, you can work faster, because you don't need to ask the drone to come home for a battery swap so often. So that was basically the most important advantage, and that is still the most important advantage of the L50 series, is that it is flying longer than any other drone.
How important is LiDAR in precision agriculture, and how does it change outcomes for farmers?
It's very, very important. To understand that, we need to step back a little and talk about how drones usually try to understand their environment. So for years, the go-to sensor was radar. But radar gives you, a poor quality data set. So you will have an understanding of something is in front of me, something is below me at this distance. This is all you can expect from a radar, because simply the technology is not for precise mapping. So we decided it's not a good starting point, because a farmer needs to understand the distance from the crops to keep the ideal distance for efficient spraying. And on top of that, you need to identify and stop in front of obstacles. So those two very important tasks of a spraying drone need to be handled. And radar can only do a limited job on that, because it will probably stop in front of a big building, but it will probably not stop in front of a power line. It will more or less understand how high you are flying from the top of the canopies, but it won't give you a real understanding on how you should decrease your flight altitude or increase it to keep always the perfect distance. So LiDAR solves that problem, because LiDAR will provide you a very, very dense, very good quality 3D point cloud. And based on that point cloud and an onboarding processing unit, the drone will have a 3D map around it. So it gives the drone true situational awareness. So you're not only, seeing that something there at this distance, you know what is there, and you know exactly how far are you from that obstacle, or how far are you from the ground. So the result is that you can send out your drone on an auto mission, and it will automatically adjust its height perfectly, even in very extremely hilly terrain, and it will allow you and the drone to automatically stop in front of any kind of obstacles, like a power line. So the end result of a LiDAR-based spraying drone is the opportunity for you to save a lot of time and a lot of risk, because you just send out the drone, it will know where it's flying, it will understand its surroundings, and with true situational awareness, you don't need to worry about, missing the perfect spraying or hitting a tree or something like that.
What are the key technical challenges of building heavy-duty drones versus consumer or light commercial drones?
Probably the size. That's the first point, because our action drones, these heavy-duty action drones, are big. So the smallest is, I cannot even show you, it's how big it is, our smallest drone. So on top of the size, we need to be compliant to more complex regulatory requirements because of the size and the weight and the takeoff weight of the drone. And on top of that, we are actually interacting with the environment. So our drones are interacting with a building or a field. So they're spraying or spreading seeds or cleaning buildings with a high pressure hose. And that requires a more robust solution, because you're not just flying a camera or a sensor like these commercial smaller drones. You need to stabilize the drone to counteract the force of a high pressure cleaning system. You need to somehow solve how the drone can fly day by day by day in a small mist that is created by the spraying system. So they need to be very, very robust and big. So from a technical point of view, it's like, an RC toy car versus a real car. This is how I would describe the difference between what like a commercial camera drone means compared to what we build.
How do you think about the reliability and safety when your drones are operating at scale in real world environments? Right, there's got to be potential liability issues, right?
Obviously, that's a very important topic, and our intention from day one was to always design our drones according to all the requirements and regulatory requirements we have in Europe and in the US and everywhere else in the world. So that means we are certified according to CE and FCC standards. We comply with FAA regulations and EASA regulations in Europe. And on top of those must-have requirements, we are stress testing our drones. We are testing the individual components. We are testing the new solutions. We test a lot. We just want to make sure that our drones are not falling out of the sky, which we did it quite good. And obviously, given the fact that we are offering tools for our customers, for which is very important for their livelihood, like we need to offer, robust and reliable solutions. So we are doing whatever we can to make our drones as reliable as possible.
Károly, do you think we're moving towards fully autonomous agriculture ecosystems? And where do you think drones fit in? Because I hear about self-driving tractors. Now you're talking about the drones. I mean, that's a lot of the farmer's work. You get, I grew up on a farm as a kid, a smaller farm, but I mean, you had work to do early in the morning to late at night, and a lot of it was plowing the fields, et cetera. But how much of a farmer's work, just across the board, do you think could be impacted by drones? 20%, 30%, 100%, 80? What do you think?
It's a tricky question. Our drones are in agriculture are for spraying and spreading, so like plant protection and fertilizing. But this is a very big part of any farmer's job because they need to protect their crops against pests, diseases, whatever you can think of. And in that regard, drones are giving them a lot of improvement in efficiency. So a drone technically flies on its own 99% of the time already. So you have a plan where you need to input a bit of time to plan a route.
Mm-hmm.
You need to do that only once. And for every treatment throughout the season and the next season and the next season, the drone will automatically do the same treatment. All you need to do is, sometimes change a few parameters. Now I need a little bit more chemical. Now I need a little bit less chemical. But at the end of the day, the drones are doing the job on their own. What you need is a pilot who is overseeing the operation and who assists the drone when it needs a battery or a tank refill. And that's it. But the future will make this even more streamlined. And what I mean by that is that we are working on automatic solutions to mix the right chemicals together with the water, so you don't need to do that as neither. So according to our vision, in a few years, you just park your truck and you go home, and everything else will be done by the system.
Yeah, you're gonna have the robots in the field, running tractors if they need or whatever. Walking the field. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Let's now. What does drone sovereignty really mean to you?
It's very important to highlight the fact that this is a strategic industry, even agriculture and protecting our crops and providing quality, healthy food to our tables. And that strategic industry requires a reliable solution. And we are very proud of the fact that we are developing and building our drones in Europe, because that means a certain credibility when it comes to data security, when it comes to reliability, when it comes to after-sales service. And we truly believe that for the future of farming, you will need to include in your operation the drones we are working on right now. And the fact that in the Western world, there are very limited options out there for a farmer to choose a drone, it's something that we believe is very, very important. And that is one of the main drivers of our mission to become the drone company of the Western world, so you can purchase and operate quality drones that were developed and manufactured in Europe, basically.
So right now, many global markets, to segue into this, right now, many global markets are dominated by large hardware players like DG from outside the West. What are the risks of that dependency? Why is people so afraid too? Is it because, all this information is being uploaded to a system and they're analyzing it in places like China? Is that what the problem is? Why are they so concerned about these drones?
Well, there are multiple angles on the topic. One of them is what you just mentioned. So data security concerns are here for a reason. There are well-documented instances where data from a drone was going somewhere it should not go, usually. But let's just take this aside and imagine a situation where these geopolitical tensions are getting stronger and China decides no more drones for you. What do we do then? It has happened for certain parts already. It is probably going to happen in the future. But as we try to, be competitive in agriculture as well, we will need to rely on drones. And to rely on drones, you need to have companies who you can rely on to, supply those drones. So that's another angle on this whole sovereignty question. And I believe it's probably even more important because data security is obviously very important, but for a farmer, maybe it's not the most important question. But if you cannot purchase a drone because you don't have the spare parts, or you don't have the after sales support, or the drone in general is not available, then what do? That is why you need Western players on this market.
So why has it been so difficult for Western companies to compete in drone hardware?
I think part of the reason is the fact that manufacturing hardware components shifted heavily in the last few decades to China. It's difficult and expensive to manufacture hardware components outside of China. So that makes part of the problem. The second, at least in Europe, part of the problem was the regulation. So when we started 7 years ago, we were considered crazy. Why would you start investing a lot of time and money into something that is illegal? And in China, it was not illegal. So in China, it made sense to invest into drones and spraying drones. So back then, we had to make a bet, but it's not ideal that you have to make a bet that the product you're developing will be legal in the future. It turned out well for us, but it's not a very motivating environment to design a product that is illegal. So I think this is basically the two part of this question, but the events of the last few years made clearer and clearer that even though there are obstacles and it's not easy to do that, you need to do that, and we need to do that.
Do you see this as a technology race, a manufacturing race, or a policy regulation issue?
I think the regulation question in 2026 is not a real issue anymore because we have the framework. It's not the best, but still we can already use these drones in multiple use cases. I think the technology and the manufacturing is going to be more critical. This is the biggest challenge for us right now. We have the technology that is competitive, truly competitive, and we are building our factory right next door because we need to keep up with the demand, which means that production capabilities are right now the bottleneck for us. And this is where we need to learn the most, and this is where we need to adapt to source components and parts from reliable suppliers while we are ramping up our production. That's our biggest challenge right now, but the factory next door will give us a really nice boost in that regard.
Do you think, though, we'll see a semiconductor moment for drones where sovereignty becomes a national priority?
Definitely. I think that moment is already here, by the way, mostly in defense. That's not our market, but it's already becoming a strategic question to have local, reliable drone manufacturers. I mean, we have a conflict right next door. So we understand how important drones became in the last few years.
Yeah, I mean,
I believe that
you hear about more drones coming in and going out of the Ukraine. It's unbelievable, actually.
Yeah.
And they're going out there today like 800 kilometers, right?
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. So, you're already in 30 plus countries. That's impressive. But what has been this key to scaling internationally for you from your perspective?
The first step was for sure having a product that is good enough. We felt the point where we could say our product is good enough happened a few years back, 2 years probably. And since then, actually, we are operating with the same size sales teams because we are in a very good position right now, which means that scaling our international network and signing more and more contracts with local distributors is happening. I'm not saying effortlessly, but it's not very difficult because we have the incoming interests and leads, and all we need to do is manage those applicants and leads on how to expand our market. We need to find a focus where we can ship the drones easily, where we need to hassle with logistics and local regulations. So to be honest, our focus has always been on the technology and the production ramp up, and sales obviously was in focus, but after a while we realized we don't really need to struggle with that a lot, because it's happening organically, which is a really nice situation.
Beyond agriculture, what industries do you believe will be transformed by drones?
Sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't catch that.
Agriculture, what industries do you believe will be transformed by drones?
Oh, facility management is our second biggest use case. So cleaning industrial buildings, office buildings, residential areas is a very, very big market, and it operates on a kind of outdated old technology. So either you build scaffoldings or use cranes, or you need to use alpine technique, but it's slow, dangerous, and inefficient. And with our C-series drones, you can just fly the drone anywhere and use the high pressure cleaning system attached to the drone on the ground to clean basically any surfaces up to 60 meters or 200 feet, or even higher with special accessories. And that part of our business is ramping up and like crazy. We cannot, I mean, we couldn't even imagine a few months back that it will be so popular. So that's going to be the next one. And on top of that, we are working on another 3 use cases, which are in development right now and testing. So we will release more information about those new use cases throughout the year.
So we're coming to the top of the show. Closing thoughts, Károly, and how do people get a hold of you? And I just want to say this has been an incredible conversation. What you're building at ABZ Innovation isn't just a company, it's part of a much larger movement toward technological independence and smarter, more sustainable systems globally. Part of the problem we have is by 2050, we have to double the food supply, and we can't increase the number of cattle because 26% of the pollution is methane gas from cows. We need more plant-based protein. So tools like yours are going to be able to help us to increase crop yield and to be able to understand how to be able to get the right food at the right place at the right time. I just came back from Africa, where I met some of the wealthiest families in Africa in Lagos, Nigeria. And I can see there's 300 million people, 8.1 billion people on the planet, about 1.1 billion on the continent of Africa, and they're going to eat. So having tools like yours to go out there sooner than later is really important. So, I applaud you on that. The idea that drones are becoming critical infrastructure and that who builds them matters is something every founder, investor, and policymaker should be paying careful attention to. I want to thank you for joining me today on the show and sharing your journey with my audience. So closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And I truly believe that industrial heavy-duty action drones are part of the future. They are actually part of the present as well. Drones are flying everywhere. And this technology is going to help us make our food supply chain more sustainable, for sure. You don't need to use as many chemicals and water. So what we are trying to build here is basically the mix of my 2 favorite things. First is tech. Obviously, I really like, playing and flying and working with drones, and doing something nice or good. And I believe that these drones are ticking both of these boxes. So I'm really happy about that. And you can reach out to us on our website, on our YouTube channel, place a comment, whatever you think of. I'm sure one of our team members will reach out to you.
Yeah, thanks for taking time in a busy schedule. Join us. If you want to stay on for a few minutes after the show, happy to talk to you. And thanks to all for joining one more time. GSD Presents Top Global Startups. And thanks to all of you. We're closing in on 1,700 podcasts. So check out some of the podcasts that we've had. Incredible guests, just like Károly. And the idea is to be able to give you the kind of information that you need to be able to make great decisions by meeting the exact people that are going down through and making those technology possible. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. I will be back to you again soon with another exciting edition of GSD Presents. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Károly.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.